Hello, folks. This is the Mike Stone. You got the Mike Stone Show, music, stories, and conversations. Now, we told you we're going to have some conversations today. I am truly honored to welcome a very special guest whose baseball journey began right here in Louisiana and carried him all the way to the Major League Baseball biggest stage. I'm talking about George Stone. He's George Stone Jr., as his father was George Stone. That makes sense. A former Major League left-handed pitcher who played for the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets. May have this timeline a little wrong. I forgot to ask him. From 1968 through about 1976, he was part of the New York Mets team that played in the 1973 World Series, sharing the field with legends like Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and Satchel Paige. Along the way, he was managed by the legendary Yogi Berra and crossed paths with unforgettable characters like Tug McGraw and famous broadcaster, unique guy Bob Uecker. And today, George joins us to talk baseball, memories, and the moments that shaped his life, from Little League fields in Bossier City, Louisiana, to the bright lights of Major League Baseball. And by the way, he is my big brother, much older, but we won't go into that. So I hope you enjoy this special conversation we promised to bring to you on the Mike Stone Show. And we're going to start off by welcoming Big Brother George. How you doing?
Hey, all right, doing fine. I'm sitting by the fireplace here, believe it or not. I have one of my daughters here, and she always likes a fire in the fireplace. So whether we need it or not, that's what I got going.
Well, that's sort of what we wanted to do here, get that vibe, sort of like a fireside, just a talk, not anything major, just a talk with your friends and your folks. That's sort of what we wanted to do here on the Mike Stone Show Conversations. And so I guess we're going to dive right into it. I know a little bit about the past there, of course. Mm-hmm. So back to Webster Parish in Doyline, Louisiana. And
yes.
I'd like to see what maybe your very first baseball memory as a kid there in Doyline. And you stayed there till about the fifth grade, I believe. But what about your baseball memory, your first baseball memory there in Webster Parish? I know you played in Bossier. Tell us about that, will you?
Yeah, well, hey, let's start from the beginning.
Oh, you're going to go back? Okay.
Yeah, because I tell you, since a very, very, very young age, all I wanted to do was play baseball. And I'd say my prayers at night, and I'd say, now lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. God bless Mama and Daddy and me and Mike. And Lord, help me to be a professional baseball player.
That's pretty far back.
I said that prayer from the very beginning. And I don't know, for some reason, I knew from that very young age, I knew that what God wanted me to do. And I worked toward that end since I was a little bitty kid. And I know our dad worked with me a lot, and he'd come in from work, and I'd be sitting on the porch with my glove and bat and ball, waiting for him to play with me. And I did that every chance I got. And I'll never remember one time that my dad said, I'm too tired, I got something else to do. I don't ever remember him saying that. So he always spent the time with me, and that makes so much difference, I think. And it made a difference in me. I mean, I started playing at a very, very young age. And I love the game, and I love every part of the game. And I just felt like even growing up, even in high school, college, I mean, I knew one day that I was going to get a chance to play professional baseball. And then, like you said, it did start in Doyline when I really started playing organized baseball. And we were in Doyline, but there was a coach there in Halton. Halton had a team. And of course, Halton is not far from Doyline. And the Halton coach came over and got two or three of us guys from Doyline. and we played, as you said, there in Bossier at, at a complex there close to the Barksdale Air Force Base. And I played. I pitched some. I played first base some. Played the outfield some, and I was very successful right from the very beginning. I was fortunate that being left-handed, a lot of times, for some reason, left-handed guys are kind of wild when they pitch, but I never was. I always had, from the very beginning, I always had real good control. And of course, that's really mainly what got me by in the big leagues. I could throw the ball where I wanted to most of the time.
Well, that's a question
So,
I had. At what point, when you was praying about being a baseball player, you really wasn't saying, I want to be a pitcher or I want to be an outfielder or first base.
right.
It didn't make any difference. You just wanted to play
No.
baseball. Is that?
I just wanted to play baseball. As a matter of fact, if it had been my choice, I would rather be an everyday player. I played first base or even the outfield. I love to hit. I love to play first base. I wanted to be involved in the game somehow. When you're pitching, it's a little different. That's kind of a specialized area, and you had to concentrate a lot on pitching. You didn't worry about much of anything else. But I love to play the game, and I always did. Even high school, even college, when I didn't pitch, I played. I couldn't stand sitting on that bench, so I played at every level, except of course when I got in the big leagues. But I just enjoyed playing the game.
You think being left-handed sort of moved you towards being a pitcher? If you'd been right-handed, it may have been a different
Right.
story.
Oh, it'd have been a different one. I might not even made the big leagues if I'd been right-handed. Yeah, I mean, God made me left-handed. Thank goodness. And I think that was a big reason. I mean, there, first place, there's not a whole lot of left-handed people. In second place, there's not a whole lot of left-handed pitchers. So I got a chance early at every level to pitch because I was left-handed, and there just wasn't many left-handed pitchers. So I got the opportunity, I think, early, especially in pro ball, because I was a left-handed pitcher.
You said even when you were in Little League, though, you actually thought, you never was, you always had a lot of confidence in yourself. But at what point you say, hey, I'm pretty good at this? Would be Little League or later on?
I knew I had some skills, had some talent, even in the Little Leagues. And I played with, most of the time, with guys older than me, but I could play with them. I was just as good or better than a lot of them. And I knew I could play the game. And even in Dorleen and even when we came to Ruston, we played ball all the time. We had a good place there where we lived there in Dorleen, a big area where we could play ball, and had a bunch of kids in that area where we lived, and we played ball every day. We play, and kids don't, I don't think, do it as much today. We didn't have that much else to do but play ball. And we enjoyed doing it, and that's how I developed, my skills, is because I did it all the time growing up.
Yeah, that's a big thing. There wasn't a whole lot of entertainment or things that you could do.
No.
So I'm so glad, but that also helped to develop whatever skills you had, because that was all that we had to do was play.
That's right. And when you do something that much, day after day, time after time, you're going to develop some skills. You can't help but do it. Of course, some of it, of course, has to be natural. It has to be God-given. Especially if you're going to go to the next, all the next levels of the game. A lot of it has to be God-given. But even with God-given talent, you still have to work and play and do it to get better.
Well, I think you've already answered this, and I know the answer to this question. And the question was, how important was your family support, during your early baseball years? And I know the answer to that. And I don't know if you've already mentioned the fact, and I had the same experience with our dad, who probably hit me a million ground balls as well and played all the time.
That's right. He spent a lot of time with us, didn't he?
Oh.
And I hadn't mentioned our mother yet, but she was right there too. Every game we played, especially in the little league coming up, she was there. She was a great supporter. Now she got a lot more nervous than our dad did. Our dad was more laid back, and she'd get all nervous, and sometimes she'd have to hide her face, not watch, because she got so nervous and upset. But she always, whatever we did, she was right there with us.
Well, I think she was probably more competitive, maybe, than anybody in the family, as far as she was pretty competitive, and of course the athletic genes probably came a lot from that side, because we have an uncle, Lane Martin, who also played minor league baseball, left-handed pitcher. So she was very competitive, and probably was some of the genes that spilled over there for your success, I would think.
Well, no doubt, and you just mentioned it. A lot of our family, especially on that side of the family, were ball players. I mean, a lot of my cousins all played ball, and they were good. And you mentioned Lane, our uncle, my mother's brother, was a fine left-handed pitcher, had really more skills and talent than I did. And he played several years in the minor leagues, but just never got a real good chance. It was tougher to make it when he was coming along. And we all, every time we got together as a family, we all played ball. And several of us played high school ball, college ball even. So, I had the genes, especially on my mama's side, but also the other side. Daddy was a fine baseball player, they said. So I got it from both of them.
That's right. Well, we took you from Dorleen, and we came here to Ruston, Louisiana, when you was in the 6th grade. I hadn't started yet. That shows you a little age difference there between us. But you came, I think, in 6th grade, went to Ruston Elementary. And I know from there you continued. I mean, you were a good basketball player, obviously, and even in elementary there. You had 1 year elementary, then to junior high. But I know you played basketball and baseball. Right. But we're going to go on into the high school at this time. When you got into high school, of course, the game has changed, and you were obviously coming up and still had tremendous skills, but you had a great baseball and basketball career in high school. Tell us about that.
Okay. I started playing basketball in junior high, and I love that. I just love sports. I mean, I probably could have played a little football. I just love to play sports and be active, and I enjoyed playing basketball, and I was pretty competitive. And so I played in junior high, and I was still playing baseball, of course, during that time too, playing little league, buddy league, whatever they called it. We just played during the summer. We didn't have any travel ball and all that stuff when I was coming up. We just played in the summer, and that was it. I won't get into that too much, but I don't know about this travel ball with some of these kids. I think they overdo it. But anyway, then I played freshman ball in high school, basketball and baseball, and I just started developing some basketball skills. Also, I was pretty good. I had controlled pitching, and I also had pretty good control with the left-handed jump shot, and I got better with that. And so I went on and made All-State in basketball my senior year, and in baseball I was All-State my junior and senior year in high school.
I mean, I'm not cut you off, but I think this has been legend in my mind that you actually broke the scoring, the number of points there, maybe 44 or something that broke Bobby James' old record. Am I off on that?
Well, you're close there, but I think I tied it, and the coach took me out of the game. We were way ahead, and he took me out before I could break the record. And I didn't know it at that time. I didn't know what the record was. And so some of my teammates were upset. They wanted me to stay in and break that record. And I think I was either tied it or one or 2 points behind it. But that neither here nor there. That didn't bother me. I think
you probably
Bobby
didn't know how many
James,
points you had scored anyway.
No, I didn't know. I think Bobby James had the record, and maybe they wanted him to keep it. I don't know. I never did find out. Never did ask about it, and it never did bother me anyway.
Right. Well,
and now during the summer, I played American Legion, what they call American Legion ball, and I don't even think they have it much anymore. Maybe certain parts of the country maybe still have it. And really, I played 3 years American Legion ball, and that's really where I fine-tuned my talent, my skills. And I had 2 great coaches, and they were very, very similar. Clyde Berry was my first coach, and he went on and was head coach at Henderson State in Arkansas. And they were disciplinarian, very, very tough, very strict. And let me go back 1 year. Prior to me playing American Legion ball, I started playing after my sophomore year. But I went out with the American Legion team my freshman year, and I didn't make it. And it's the first time that I never ever didn't make a baseball team, but I didn't even try out for pitcher. I didn't even tell him that I was a pitcher. So I wanted to play first base or the outfield, wanted to hit. But I didn't do very well in the tryouts. They had this old mechanical pitching machine that I never had hit off of, and I don't think I hit one past the pitcher. And so I didn't make it. And so that was the only year that I never played baseball in the summer.
I think that's a testament to a lot of people, though, is you didn't make the team. You got cut, didn't make the team. So a lot of people who may wonder I failed at something, but don't give up on it.
Don't give up. That's exactly right. I worked at the peat shed, the Ruston Peat Shed, Mr. Mitchum, that summer, and did not play baseball.
You mentioned your first coach. I don't think you mentioned your second coach in Legion ball.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to him.
Okay.
And you know about that.
Oh yes.
So I think by not making that team, and some of my friends did, they made it. So I think that made me just more determined to make it and accomplish something because of that. And so it might have been the best thing that happened to me for that to happen. And back my junior year and senior year, a coach by the name of Billy Henderson was my coach. And those 2 coaches were the best baseball coaches I ever had at any level, including the professional level. I learned more from those 2 guys than anybody else. And Coach Henderson was a lot like Coach Berry. He was a disciplinarian. He demanded that you do things the right way and approach things the right way. And so I learned a lot from him, as everybody did who played for him. And after my junior year and senior year, we played in the state championship in American Legion ball both of those years, and the New Orleans team beat us both times. We were state runner-ups there 2 years after my junior year and after my sophomore year.
So you had great success in the Legion team, and you had fair success at the high school level. But it's probably fortunate that you had those kind of people at your stage in your life, that you had a disciplinarian and people who really set the bar so high.
That's right. That's right. And you just you grasp something from those kind of guys that you may not get from anybody else, and it carries over. And it did for me. It carried over for me even into the college game and even into the pro game. What I learned from those two guys.
Well, going back a little bit, you actually got a scholarship to play basketball at Louisiana Tech. It was not a baseball scholarship, but
that's right. Yeah, the deal was at that time I had a friend of mine, good friend of mine, that was a pitcher, Reg Castleberry from Ruston. He was a good pitcher, and so they didn't have a one baseball scholarship, and so they told me and they offered me that, and then I talked to the basketball coach, Scotty Robertson, and we'll probably talk about him more later on to learn a lot from him too. He said, now you can take this basketball scholarship if you want to. And so I told Coach Barry Hinton, was the baseball coach, I said, Coach Hinton, you give the baseball scholarship to Reg Castleberry, and I'll take the basketball scholarship. Now, I'll play baseball too, but I'll take the basketball scholarship, which I did. And I signed and played for Coach Scotty Robertson for 2 years there. And you'll probably ask me more about that in that.
Well, yeah, since we're there, I know just a continuation of the guy who set the bar pretty high and was pretty rough on some of your let's just say he could motivate you when maybe nobody else could, right?
Well, that's true. And he did a lot of guys, and that was his style too. I was fortunate to have those kind of guys to coach me, because he not only did he teach me a lot of basketball, he taught me how to compete. And, a lot of difference. You go from high school to college, no matter what sport it is, it gets a little tougher. And so when I got there, like I said, I was a pretty good shooter, and but I kind of rested on defense sometimes. But Coach Robertson wouldn't allow that. So he said, if you're gonna play, you're gonna play defense too, or you're gonna be sitting on the bench there with me. So I had to learn how to get after it both ends of the court, but I could score, and he knew that, and so I got to play. I played some my freshman year, and then I can remember my sophomore year. I didn't start off playing on the starting lineup. This was before the season. This was workouts before the season. But I wasn't on the first five, and I was kind of content not to be. And like you said, I wasn't really motivated at that time. I mean, I'm still a baseball guy, but I wasn't really motivated to try to do the best I could and get in that starting lineup and play. But Coach Robertson stayed on me because he knew what I was capable of doing, and he knew that I needed to be on the starting team, and he stayed on me and got after me and motivated me to the point there was one time in practice there was a guy that was ahead of me on the starting team. And we were practicing, and I was doing pretty good. And Coach Robinson came up and kind of got in my face and this and that. And I remember looking at this guy that had on he had on a jersey, a practice jersey that designated the first team. And I don't know why I did this, but I walked over to that guy and I said, "Give me that jersey." And
Okay.
this was, and he was on the starting team. And I mean, this guy, Coach Robertson didn't know I was going to do that. And certainly this guy didn't know. And I'm surprised that he gave me his jersey. I guess he knew I meant it. I said, "Give me that jersey. I'm tired of, of being harassed by Coach Robertson. I want that jersey, and I'm on the first team."
Oh, that's a great story.
And that's where I stayed the rest of the year.
But if he hadn't pushed you like that and got up in
That's
your
right.
business, you probably would have been content just to stay where you were. But
I'd have been content. I would have. But I kind of, and one of the reasons I think I kind of had in the back of my mind all along that I was going to play 2 years in college, basketball and baseball. I was going to play, get some experience, face some good hitters, and our league had some good hitters, but I felt like I needed to mature more. I wasn't very mature after my high school time, so I knew I needed a couple of years in college to grow some more, to get stronger, to get it right mentally and emotionally. So I felt like I needed 2 years, but I kind of always had in the back of my mind, I'm going 2 years with this. I never told anybody that. I never told Coach Robinson that. I never told Coach Hinton that. But this is something I kept to myself. I didn't even tell Mom and Daddy anything like that. But that's what I kind of had in mind, and that's what I ended up doing.
yeah, that's what the next question was. When did professional baseball sort of become a real possibility? Rather than just a dream. Was it after? Well, I guess it probably became a possibility at what point?
Yeah, well, I talked to scouts during even American Legion ball, and I was real successful in American Legion baseball, and I talked with some scouts starting at that point in high school, and they wrote me letters and so forth when I was in high school. But I knew I didn't want to sign out of high school. I wasn't ready, and so I played. I pitched in college, and I've still stayed in touch with some of the scouts, even when in college. And I was successful in college. And like I said, I played when I didn't pitch, and I made all conference my freshman year and all conference my sophomore year. And Mel Didier was a scout for the Atlanta Braves. He lived out of Baton Rouge, and he kind of stayed with me pretty good. And Coach Robertson at that time was what they call a bird dog scout. And I don't even know if he got paid, but he was affiliated with the Braves. He knew Mel Didier very well, and so he kind of stayed in touch with Didier and watched me play ball in the spring at Tech, and kind of and I don't even remember seeing Didier, but Coach Robertson kind of kept Didier alert to what I was doing, and Coach Robertson really acted as my agent and was not paid to be my agent, but he was. After my sophomore year, Mel Didier came to see me. He came several times. You probably was at home sometimes when he came there, but every time he came to see me, Coach Robertson was there. Of course, he had an interest in whether I was going to sign or not because I was playing basketball too on a basketball scholarship. So he was there. Like I said, he acted as my agent, even though he wasn't paid to be my agent.
Yeah,
But
my biggest
he advised me during that time. Coach Robertson did, and he was my mentor. He was my coach, and he was my friend, and he helped me out a great deal during that time. And I felt like that I was ready. I felt like uh, I wasn't gonna get any better really in college. I wanted to go ahead, and I was ready to make the next step at that time.
Yeah, my main memory of Mel Didier was he took the family out, but I believe it was just me and you and our mother. I can't remember my dad being there to the old Holiday Inn
That's right.
to have a sit down and eat. But I do remember him coming. But I do remember Coach Robinson being right there with you and trying to guide you through that process. And he did that out of the goodness of his heart because he was a baseball guy himself, really.
Yeah, he didn't have to do that. And he was there when I signed. When I signed, he was there. I mean, he stayed right with me, and even though he hated to see me leave the basketball program, he was happy about my situation, and he knew, we didn't have much money anyway as a family, and of course when I signed, there's nothing, like the money these guys make now, but heck, I thought I was a millionaire.
Yeah, that the question I lead up to that is the day you found out. I suppose you were drafted. The day you found out that you were going to be playing professional baseball with Atlanta Braves. Can you get us a little bit about the feelings that were going through your mind and your whole body at that point? That day
Yeah,
that you were drafted. I suppose I can't remember how that went.
yeah, I was a fifth round draft pick for the Atlanta Braves, and I was, of course, I was concerned about it, and of course, I talked to the Lord about it a little bit, and I said, "Well, Lord, this is what you wanted me to do all along." So I said, let's just go see what I can do with this. And
So
at that time, I just asked him to be with me,
exactly.
during that time, and of course he was. And I can remember, you don't remember this, but I can remember after I signed, I kind of wanted to get away. I said, Mike, let's go out and play catch.
Yeah.
And we went out right beside the house there, and we played a little pitch and catch. I just kind of wanted to do something a little different.
I have no recollection of that, but I do know I did catch you a lot of times, and you get a little perturbed sometimes if I didn't want to catch you. And we had a what's that sweet gum tree out there in front of our house, and if I was outside and you said, let's play some catch, I didn't want to catch, you would get one of those sweet gum balls. You could put it right behind my ear and say, yeah, you're going to catch me. You're going to catch me. But that's the memory I had. But did you get a call from Mel Didier or the Braves organization, or when you got signed, or how did that happen?
Yeah, I got a call from Didier. Of course, he came to the house to sign me. And I don't remember getting a call from the Braves organization, but of course Mel Didier came to the house, and he was with me all through the signing process there, and they talked about the money, and they talked about where I would go, where they wanted me to go after I signed. And ironically, you may get to this. His son, Bob Didier, and I played together in the Atlanta Braves. He was a catcher, and he was my catcher there for several years. This was Mel Didier's son.
Oh yeah, very much remember his nickname was Hiya.
Hiya Didier.
Yeah, I don't know. Baseball people like to give nicknames.
Oh yeah, I don't know how he got it either. I never did ask him.
Well, let's go to. I know you signed and you went to Kinston, North Carolina for A ball.
Right.
And do you remember the very first day walking into a professional clubhouse? And what surprised you most about that event?
Yeah, I flew in. They flew me in to Kinston, North Carolina. This is a high class A ball. It was a good league, the Carolina League, very very good league. There's several guys came out of there that played in the big leagues. At the same time, I remember Johnny Bench. I pitched against there in Class A, and Rod Carew, I believe, was there. Several others that were there in that league. But they flew me in to Kinston, and they gave me a number to call when I got there, and I called that number and talked to somebody, and I said, I'm the new ball player in here. I need somebody to come get me. So they did, and I went right to the ballpark. And of course, I never had played at a big stadium really that much. We did play in the playoffs in the Baton Rouge. We played at Alex Box Stadium. That's the biggest one I'd played in. But this was a big stadium. The locker rooms weren't very good, but this was Class A ball, and so I got there at Kinston, and even before that, let me mention what Coach Robertson, and this was after I signed, and I had a few weeks to go before I was to report. Well, he worked me out for 2 or 3 weeks there, and I just thought basketball practices were tough. I didn't have any idea. He worked me out, and I threw every day. And we were at the old baseball field there at Tech. And then after I threw, he'd get a fungo and some baseballs, and he said, "Start at this line here and take off running." Well, I'd do that. And he'd hit that ball with a fungo, and I'd run all the way to the other side of the field. And I did that time after time after time, and till I was just worn out. And I did that for a 2 or 3 weeks before I reported to Kinston. And I'll tell you, I was ready when I got to Kinston. And as Coach Robertson, I think, knew that he was going to have me ready to go, because he knew that it was important to get a good start. And so when I got to Kinston, I was in such great shape. The pitchers would run in the outfield, and they'd run on 6 or 8 sprints, something like that, and they'd quit. And I wasn't even breathing hard. I said, "Guys, I'm not used to this. I'm gonna run some more." So I did, but I was in tremendous shape, and I got a real good start. And that's what Coach Robinson wanted me, was why he was getting me ready, so I could have that kind of start, and I did. So that's another thing I have to attribute to him. I think I was 8-2, I believe, was my record there. I don't remember what my earned run average. It was good, but I got a real good start in Class A ball, and I think that helped me as far as maybe getting the attention of some of the guys in the organization.
That probably propelled you to the next level after the good start there in Class A.
That's
so
right.
the next year you started I can't remember exactly the next year, but you played a couple, 2 or 3 years off and on in the minor leagues. But
I did. Well, I stayed in school. I had to stay in school. At that time, the Vietnam War was going on, and if you were in school, you weren't drafted or anything. I had to go into the military, so I stayed in school. I went to spring training that next year, and then after spring training, I went to Atlanta and went to Georgia State school there in Atlanta. I had to stay in school, and I worked out with Georgia Tech. I don't remember the coach, a real famous coach there at Georgia Tech. He let me work out with them, throw batting practice and so forth. And after I finished school, they sent me to AAA ball in Richmond, Virginia. Now, I wasn't in real good shape. I worked out, but I wasn't in real good pitching shape. Pitching batting practice is one thing, but pitching against AAA hitters is another thing. So I did not get a good start in Richmond. I stayed there, a month or so in Richmond, did not do very well, and they sent me down. I was demoted to AA ball in Austin, Texas, and I was disappointed, but I knew that it was probably the best thing for me because I wasn't doing what I needed to do there in AAA ball. I probably wasn't ready for it. At that time, my cousin, Cecil Upshaw, was on that team, and I consulted with him, and he told me that same thing. He said, you need to go down AA and do well down there and just take it a step at a time. He said, don't try to overdo it, which it was a little over my head there at that time. So
yeah,
I went to AA ball in Austin, Texas.
what do you think that the biggest adjustment you had to make at the professional level, coming up from college, and was it
I had to come up with a couple different kind of breaking balls, really, and a change up. I had to do more change of speed, whereas in college or even Class A ball, I could get by mostly with a fastball with my control, and my fastball had some movement on it. So I got by with that for a while, but I get to that next level, and I had to do something else in order to get guys out. I had to come up with a couple other pitches, which I did, which I worked on. Went to AA in Austin and worked on a few pitches, and that was good for me. I had a good season. I think I was maybe 8-4 or something like that. And another thing that in Austin when I was there, this AA, Ralph Garr from Grambling and from Ruston signed that year, and he went right to AA in Austin, Texas. And so we got a chance to play together there, and also Dusty Baker signed that same time, and we played together there in Austin, Texas, and it was good to have somebody from home, and Ralph and I just connected real quick right off the bat, became real close friends right from the very beginning. We were homeboys. And we played together for a few years there in Atlanta. I was glad to play with him, and but I had a good season there in Austin. At the end of the season, they called up some extra guys to the big leagues in order to play, And so they called me up right at the end of the season to come to Atlanta. And I pitched in relief my first time in Atlanta. It was a relief job, and my catcher was Joe Torre. Was my first catcher. Did not have too good of experience my first time. I pitched 4 or 5 guys against the Cubs, I think, and a few guys got a hit off of me, and the manager came out and took me out real quick. But then a few days later, I started a game, and it was against the St. Louis Cardinals, and the pitcher was Bob Gibson.
Oh,
and
my.
my catcher was Bob Euchre.
Bob Euchre, okay.
Bob Euchre.
Yeah, that's a name I hope our listeners can appreciate, that guy.
Yeah, and he was a great catcher. Really, really, Euchre was a great, couldn't hit a lick, but he was a real good catcher. And so I started that game and pitched. And matter of fact, by the way, T.L. James flew my mom and dad and Coach Henderson and Coach Robertson to that game, to see that game. And so they were there to see that. And I pitched 7 innings. I can remember doing that. And they got 1 run off of me. And we had 1 run. It was tied up 1-1 after 7 innings. So I got to hit against Bob Gibson. And the first time up, I hit the ball fairly well. I was a little late on it, but I hit a little soft liner to the left fielder. So I guess Bob didn't appreciate that. So the next time up, I was always kind of a notorious first ball hitter. So the next time up, I was going to see what I could do. And he throws a slider breaking ball right in on my hands and broke my bat. And I think I hit a little dribble right back to him. He just knocked the bat right out of my hand. I guess I made him mad the first time I hit it too good, on what he thought. But he was, if I had to pick a pitcher to win a ball game, a deciding game, Bob Gibson would be my pitcher.
Well, that's pretty ironic. The first game you pitched, you had Bob Euchre catching you. Bob Gibson,
That's right.
Maybe one of the best and greatest pitchers of all time, Bob Gibson.
Oh, no doubt.
And then you were playing as a teammate with Hank Aaron.
Well, Hank Aaron was there. That's right. And I played with him for five years when I was with the Braves. Played with Hank Aaron for 5 years.
Can you remember the first time that you met Hank Aaron and what kind of experience that was?
Well, I was a little bit nervous about it. Hank didn't talk to people too much, and he wasn't big on, rookies coming up and having a lot to do with them. But I do, of course, remember shaking his hand and introducing myself, and he said, "Well, we're glad to have you." And I can remember a game in Philadelphia, and I came in relief, and he hits last inning, hits a 3-run homer to win the game. So I win the game, and I came to him after that and told him, I said, and it was my first win. And I told him this is my first win. And he looked up, he said, "Well, congratulations. I think you're going to have a lot more wins up here." And so that meant a lot to me. And there was another game we had it was in Atlanta against Cincinnati. And I was still a rookie, or maybe my second year. But anyway, I got beat 1-0, and the way I got beat, there was hit a fly ball to right field where he was, and he drifted back, and it hit off his glove and went over the fence. Home run. I get beat 1-0, and after the game, reporters talking to him, and he had a quote in the paper which meant a lot to me. He said, "That was my fault. I hate it for the kid." He called me the kid, which I
Right.
was. I was about 21 years old probably, and he said, "I hate it for the kid." He said he did such a great job, and I let it go off. I let it go off my glove and went over the fence. I hate it for the kid.
Of course, he made up for that many times over with
Yeah, many times. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah, he won a lot of games for the Atlanta Braves.
yeah. Well, we sort of skipped through the rest because one of my great memories, of course, in your ball playing was, and I don't know exactly. I know you still had to go to school. You were going to Tech, and
Yeah.
the Shreveport Captains were Atlanta Braves affiliate, and
That's right.
you went over there during the home games to play
That's
with
right.
them. I can't remember exactly where that fell into your career, but you would take me with you. And of course, like I said, I was probably a junior, maybe a junior in high school at that time, and you would take me over there, and that was a great, great memory because I did get
Yeah.
to sit with people like Prez Jones, who was there watching Ralph Garr,
Right.
and so many, like Nico Van Zine, our good friend, reporter, and
That's right.
great guy
Buddy
here. I would sit with
Davis.
Nico, and
Yep.
we would have a great time. And of course, you would let me come down close to the dugout and see people like Garrett, the guy who played with the Mets, and
Wayne Garrett.
Wayne
That's right.
Garrett.
He was there on
Yeah,
that team.
so
Right. Dusty Baker, I think, was on that.
yeah, I believe Dusty
Ralph,
played some.
I'm not sure where Ralph was at that time.
Well, I know
I think
Prez
he
would
was
come,
there.
but maybe Prez was coming to see you. Maybe Prez Jones
Well,
of
maybe so,
Grambling
yeah.
State, great legend. He may have been coming to
Right.
see you because we sat together on a couple occasions.
Right. Yeah. Buddy Davis
Oh yeah,
went there just about every time, And yeah, I was in school, and I just played in the home games. I picked whenever they came back home. I'd go over there and pitch, and I did well. A guy by the name of Charlie Lau was the manager. He was a hitting guru, great guy, and I always thought he would manage in the big leagues one of these days. He was very, very well thought of, and he died at a very young age, and I don't even remember what it was, but he would have been a heck of either a hitting coach or a manager in the big leagues, but he died very young.
I think
But
they
I
still
went
talk
from-
about him though, in his hitting instruction, and
yeah.
his name was still. If people who follow baseball, Charlie Lau was a big name in the hitting.
That's right. Yeah, he was very famous hitting guru at that time.
But what was
Well, I went from there, did well, pitched several games and did well. And after school was out, I went back to Richmond, made another round there at Richmond. And this was, I don't know, sometime around June or so, maybe. And so this time I was ready for Richmond. I was ready for AAA baseball. And I can remember pitching a one hitter there. I only got one hit off of me. And right after that, I was called up to the big leagues to stay. I never did go back down. This was in 1968.
68?
About mid-season.
Yeah, I know our family went up in '67 to
Right.
take your car from Atlanta Stadium because you had been sent down, and we took the car and vehicle to you there in Richmond. We got to see you play. there in with the Richmond AAA, and that was a big stadium and a nice place, a very good place to watch a game.
Right, and we had a good team, and had a good catcher who had been playing in the big leagues, who had played in the big leagues for several years. Jesse Gonder. I don't know how I remember that name, but Jesse Gonder was his name. He was a catcher, black catcher. And,
So
very, 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 very good catcher. He really he and I worked well together, got along real well together, and right after that, I went up to the big leagues to stay.
Yeah, I know a little bit about catching because I became a catcher and played Legion ball and played around and really enjoyed it. But a good catcher and somebody who knows to call a game and handle a pitcher is very, very, very crucial, I think, in making the pitcher better than they can be or should be, or helps them along.
That's right. And I had some good catchers, but you're right, it does make a lot of difference. The catcher I had with the Mets, Jerry Grody, was probably the best catcher that I've thrown to, and he was just the kind of catcher that he just demanded that you do what you're supposed to do, and he just had that kind of demeanor. And he was wasn't a very big guy, but he was the kind of guy that you wanted to please, you wanted to do what he said, and there were times that he'd call a pitch, and I'd shake my head, and then he'd put down the same finger.
Yeah.
So, in other words, you throw what I want you to throw. And there were a number of occasions where he did that. So I never did cross him up too much. I pretty much threw because I was afraid he might come out and jump me or something. I didn't know what he was going to do. So about halfway scared of him.
Yeah, Grody was he had that kind of personality, I believe. Yeah. Let's go to the Braves. You had some good seasons there with the Braves, and I think the division play started at some point there. And I know the Braves probably won maybe the first time they had divisions. But the Braves, you started there full time, or you didn't go back down from what year?
Yeah, I didn't go back down to the minor leagues. You're talking about?
Yeah, what year did you actually go up and stay?
68.
68.
About the middle of 68. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were in 69. We won our division. At that time, the playoffs were all different. Whoever won their divisions played against each other. The Mets won their division in 69, and we won our division. And so we played the Mets to see who would get in the World Series in 1969. And we had a good team. We had a good hitting team. Our pitching was not that great. We had a Hall of Famer, Phil Necro, and was our best pitcher. But our pitching was not as good as the Mets. So I think it was the best 2 out of 3, and 3 out of 4. And then the Mets beat us to get into the World Series, and then of course won the World Series in 1969.
Now that's the Miracle Mets, 1969.
Miracle Mets, that's right.
Because I think they came from so many games down, and even in August, and they came.
That was us in '73.
Oh, okay, yeah, I knew that was in.
We were so many games down.
Yeah, we'll get to that here in just a minute.
Right.
But the divisions, obviously, there's all different playoff scheme now, and not near as many. You didn't have any wild cards. You didn't have anything like that. You just had the divisions, and I think the division started maybe in 1969.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you played with the Braves, had a great time there, and I do remember this. when you got the word you got traded, it was not a very happy moment in the Stone household at that time.
No. Uh, I think I remember as in came in the living room and Mom and Daddy was there. I don't know if you were there or not,
Oh, I remember.
but I know Diana was there. My wife was there, and I came into the living room, and they all looked at me and said, "Guess what? You've been traded to the New York Mets." And I can remember I didn't say a word, but I broke down. I broke down and just cried.
Yeah, I remember
really
that.
Yeah, and I don't know why I did that. Uh, I didn't particularly. I mean, the Mets were a good team, but I didn't particularly want to go to New York. Um, Atlanta was kind of a more my kind of town, and we lived out of town a ways, kind of really out in the country. I said, where in the world am I going to be out in the country in New York? And so that was my main concern. Where am I going to live? What am I going to do in New York? I'm a country boy from Ruston. And, but I think a lot of times in life, things happen to you and you think it's an awful thing or a terrible thing, and but it turns out to be the best thing that happened, and it did turn out that way because I played in a World Series that year
Yeah,
that I was
do you
traded.
think
So
it
I
was?
think it just goes to show a lot of times things happen to you, and God allows things to happen to you that you may not think is good for you, but he knows what he's doing.
You have been listening to a conversation with George Stone Jr. on The Mike Stone Show, music, stories, and conversations. The second half of this interview will be aired next Friday, January 23rd at 10 a.m., 4 p.m., and 7 p.m. You can catch a repeat of today's conversation on Mike's live show Monday and Wednesday. The live show starts at 10 a.m., and the conversation will be played at some point on the show. Thanks for listening, and please check out the Mike Stone Show Facebook page to find out times and dates of other special programs this month.